So power distance in simple terms means what is the degree to which differences or inequalities between people who are in charge versus people who might be subordinate or in a junior level, what is the degree to which it's accepted in different societies, okay? So here's a value scale with numbers from 0 to 10. I do want to call out that they are just there because each of these numbers are to indicate a particular country and where they belong. So they are there just to show you the relative position of countries. They are not scores, okay? So it doesn't mean if you see a country on number 10, that country is fantastic, and if you see a country on 0, that's very poor. Like I always say, there's no good and bad and right and wrong in terms of culture. They are different perspectives, and both styles will have their own strengths. So cultures that are on the left side between 0 and 5, they're called egalitarian cultures. Another word that's easily relatable with egalitarian is more equality based. Here, the focus is not on titles, ranks, and how much senior or authoritative someone is. People like to be autonomous. Once they know their work and what they have to do, there's lesser dependence with managers. As you move to the right, the cultures that fall here are called hierarchical. Here, the inequality between a leader or a manager and their subordinates is almost desired and expected. It's not uncommon, okay? And there is more hand-holding, more dependence, more seeking of approvals from managers, and so on and so forth. We'll understand that in a bit more detail, but just to give you a flavor, these are not all the countries in the world, but some examples, all right? So those of you who've joined us from India can see that India is on the hierarchical side, and some of you who are from other cultures may see this here. So more egalitarian cultures like USA, UK, Australia, Canada, etc. You'll see other Asian countries, Latin American cultures, etc. on the hierarchical side, okay? So what does this mean? How do we make sense of this in day-to-day business practices? First of all, let's talk about communication. And when we talk about communication, I'm not talking about communication between peers, but rather across levels. In hierarchical cultures, it tends to be more top-down, okay? So imagine a scenario in a hierarchical environment where there is a senior leader who's leading a meeting. Chances are the team is going to wait their turn, listen to what the leader has to say. The leader cascades the information, the team waits their turn. Rarely will you find them openly challenging or disagreeing with something that the leader has said, because in hierarchical societies, there is extreme amount of respect shown to people in position or power, okay? That's not a bad thing. It's just that's how it operates within that society, okay? So a person, if they disagree with someone who's senior to them, would probably have that conversation with them separately one-on-one. But challenging them in an open forum or in a group setting has a disrespectful connotation to it, and so people hesitate to do that. However, in egalitarian cultures, nobody is thinking about the title or the rank. People are talking about a topic, and if that topic, and the person listening to the topic has an opinion, a disagreement, an idea, or something to be said, or a question to be asked, then they will interrupt and speak straight away. There is no fear of I'm interrupting someone who's senior to me, or I'm going to get into trouble for asking this. There is no such thought, because the consequence is not based on how many levels above or below somebody is. The second key aspect when it comes to decision making, in hierarchical cultures, the responsibility for making the decision lies with the leader. So if you think back and to the poll, and many of you did answer that the leader makes the decision and then explains what needs to be done. And that is almost like a safety blanket. I don't see anything necessarily wrong with that. It's just that cultures where everyone's consulted, people are able to make decisions on the work that they do, they find this as strikingly contrasting. So in hierarchical cultures, big decisions about workload, resource management, new ways of doing things, all of this will be discussed with the manager. Managers tend to be kept in the loop. You might have also seen managers being always copied on emails for visibility, whereas in egalitarian cultures, if you are copying the manager, it almost looks like you're escalating. Because in egalitarian cultures, people directly go to the person who's the SME. There's no need to include additional levels in it unless there's a problem. So people are expected to make decisions pertaining to their role and their work stream. And a third area, a lot of the companies that we work with, if they are Western companies, one of the feedback pieces we always get for hierarchical cultures like India is that, oh, they're very good at following direction. They'll do A, B, C, and D if you tell them to do A, B, C, D, and E. But we don't see them thinking outside the box or taking initiative or coming up with new ideas. And being an Indian myself, I know that that's not true. So many times when I hear that kind of feedback, I think, but Indians have some fantastic ideas, but what is causing this? So it is the hierarchical nature of leadership that causes that, because employees don't necessarily feel comfortable sharing their idea or solution in a forum without running it past their manager. Not because of anything, but it's again a form of respect. Okay, let me keep my manager in the loop. Let me ask my manager what he or she thinks about my idea. Maybe it's not my place. Maybe I'm going to step over someone's toes. So it's a lot of that that's going on in that person's mind. And so often new ideas also get discussed within a team, probably with a lead or a manager or someone senior. And then when there is that nod of approval, then the person feels more confident in taking that initiative or sharing that in a cross-functional meeting. But all of you would have noticed the reverse is true on the egalitarian side. Imagine you're working with a US-based organization in meetings, even if it's a cross-functional, cross-department project. If one person has an idea on how something can be done differently, they quite freely express their opinion without thinking about levels, titles, ranks, and all of those things, right? So it's just to show you that subconsciously there are so many layers, so many things we think about, depending on the culture that we belong to when we are making a simple decision at the workplace.